delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to welcome you all to the beautiful and hospitable city of Addis Ababa, as well as to the headquarters of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, on the occasion of the annual Climate Change and Development in Africa, CCDA conference. The Paris Agreement on Climate Change, what is next for Africa?
This forum provides an excellent opportunity to review the Paris Agreement. It further provides a contextual analysis of what it takes, what is at stake for Africa, and what the climate agreement offers beyond Paris as a strategic orientation for Africa in moving forward with the implementation phase. Especially so, as it comes at a time when we have made significant progress in defining the framework of Africa's development aspirations as underscored in Agenda 2063 Vision of Africa, of the Africa we want, and Agenda 2030 on Sustainable Development, and particularly SDG 13, which calls for urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts.
The CCDA was launched in 2000 by the ClimDev-Africa program, a joint program of the African Union Commission, the African Development Bank, and the Economic Commission for Africa. The founding objective was to create a platform for dialogue between researchers, scientists, and policymakers in civil society, government, and international organizations on climate and development issues in Africa.
As we know, Africa is known to be one of the most vulnerable continents to climate change and climate variability due to its low adaptive capacity and low level of technological development. This is also compounded by a variety of interacting factors. It is therefore not a surprise that one of Africa's aspirations, as enshrined in Agenda 2063, is to pursue a climate-conscious development with the aim of having an environmentally sustainable, climate-resilient economy and community.
The Paris Agreement has been hailed as signifying bold steps towards decarbonizing the global economy and reducing dependency on carbon fossil fuels, with the aim of limiting the increase in the global average temperature this century to well below 2 degrees above the pre-industrial level, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial level. And this will be achieved mainly through the contributions of the parties to the agreement, both developed and developing, to curb their greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with their national capabilities. The agreement also seeks to support the Sustainable Development Goals. As the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon noted, the Paris Agreement was adopted just after the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. These are twin plans for transformative progress. Sustainable Development Goals are the vision. Climate change is the commitment. This vision and commitment should go hand in hand. They are all part of the grand design. They should complement each other. If we don't implement the climate change agreement, all the 17 goals will not be fully implemented.
I think it's fair to say that everybody expected this process to take at least 1 to 2 years to give us, or to give the parties a chance to develop the rules and so forth under the ad hoc committee on the Paris Agreement and so forth, with the vision that perhaps before 2020 the agreement would come into force. But things have moved really, really fast, and I think it's a testament to the seriousness and the commitment of parties to see action on climate change.
For the last 6 years, stakeholders from across Africa have been meeting in a convergence that has solidified our resolve to address climate change, and as the civil society, we find it very fulfilling that the CCDA space continue to provide an opportunity for us to exchange ideas, interrogate emerging issues, and extend our conversations with other stakeholders in a one-stop shop in the unique CCDA sessions.
So the Green Climate Fund is receiving projects, it's receiving programs, and actually funding activities as we speak. What's perhaps worth noting is that for Africa, and perhaps the countries that are here, a question to you is, how far has your country gone in starting the process to access the GCF?
I would like this forum to assist in coming up with ways of resources that may be made available in us probably revisiting issues to do with our NDCs.
Africa has been talking so much and doing very little. That's a challenge and a question I would like all of us to address. If we really have to be sincere about climate adaptation or whatever we are talking.
So think, for example, of the movements in the Horn of Africa with mixed flows of asylum seekers, internally displaced people, people fleeing droughts and disasters. Also, the issue of pastoralism is very acute here, with the traditional livelihoods that are very much affected by climate change.
Another key factor that can, keep young people within the continent, and also when they migrate, also to make sure there's a continuity in their livelihood, is agriculture, with a specific mention of agribusiness. And ClimDev provides that framework.
The ClimDev-African Youth Platform brings together youth, organizations and networks working in climate change from all over Africa and in diaspora. It's a platform whereby youth are able to share experiences, share knowledge, and look for best solutions to fighting climate change. As we move towards COP22, COP of Actions, we call on world leaders to further reduce their emissions.
How people react to environmental changes, migration becomes an adaptation strategy.
As I work with the African group of negotiators, the Africa group has at least highlighted that there are few critical things that we expect from the COP22. So one of the things is because people were not anticipating that the Paris Agreement will enter into force this fast, we wanted the rule book for the Paris Agreement to be comprehensive, balanced, and covering all issues. So we didn't want to do the rules for mitigation first and then we have the rules for adaptation, but the process should be parallel, and we have a comprehensive rule book to implement the Paris Agreement.
I urge our leaders to integrate youth in all policy processes around climate change, and very importantly, we want to see a situation where we'll move from talk to implementation. So as our leaders are ratifying, we also urge them to look at the peculiarities of each country and ratify according to the needs of that particular country to ensure that the felt needs and aspirations of the citizens are reflected in the INDCs, now the NDCs.
The African contribution to the elaboration of the global climate governance framework is indeed very limited. We did an analysis, for instance, of African contributions to the IPCC Fifth Assessment Report. And out of the almost 700 authors that contributed to that report, only 68 were African, less than 10% of the contributions. What this means in effect is that, in fact, the whole discourse, the narrative, the framework on climate change is being developed outside of Africa with very little African input. And one of our intentions at ACPC and through CCDA is to ensure that we use gatherings such as this one to elicit a much stronger African engagement with the climate science, with the climate policy, with the development of the understanding of what climate means, and therefore with the development of the climate response. In other words, we hope that meetings such as this one will contribute to developing an African perspective which will become part of the global climate change narrative. This is really very urgent.
Marrakesh, we're going to the means of implementation, so we have much more, I would say, homework that we will need to do. There are different side events that are taking place, and the AMCEN is playing a key role in those side events to make sure that means of implementation means capacity building, finance, technology transfer, and all these need partnerships. And we're not even here talking only about developed country to fulfill its commitment. Yes, that's a principle. Yes, we're going to Marrakesh with this. But what is really important is how can we create those kind of partnerships to ensure that at the end of the day, it's a win-win to Africa. It's not a win-lose, it's not a lose-lose.